In this chapter, we are studying about comprehensions and how to attempt them. How to attempt a comprehension. Comprehension measures your ability to read and understand the written passage. Through the comprehension exercise, you are asked to answer questions about the passage. For answering the questions based on reading the passage, it is imperative that your answer should be based on the information given in the passage. Your own common sense, our own knowledge, your own presumption should not be taken into account while answering these questions. If you have information from your own experience and knowledge, you should not use it to answer any question. Even if you think that there is some mistake in any paragraph of the comprehension, you must still answer the question on the basis of information given in the passage. Here are some techniques that will help you in answering the questions based on the comprehension. First, use your pencil. To begin with, use your pencil as a pointer. Using the pencil to guide your eye along the line of the text helps you focus on the details in the reading. It holds your attention to the precise words in the passage. While dealing with a long passage, attention may weaken. Fatigue may blunt your attention to details, but using your pencil as a pointer will help you to preserve your attention to details. Second, increase in reading speed. Another benefit to using the pencil as a pointer is that it will probably speed up your reading. The steady flow of the pencil across the passage with each line of text draws the eye along a steady pace. Do not go faster than you can grasp the text, but do try to keep your reading going at a steady pace by the pencil. Third, circle keywords and phrases. Remember, you are not reading for just a vague general understanding of the passage. You usually have to read for detailed understanding. There will be individual words which are important for grasping a point exactly. Circling keywords or phrases will enable you to zero in on precise points needed to answer a question. Fourth, keep forging ahead. Do not get bogged down if there is a word or sentence you do not understand. You may get the main idea without knowing the individual word or sentence. Sometimes you can sense the meaning of the word from the context. Sometimes the word or the sentence may not be on the basis of any question. If there is some idea, you need to answer a question but do not understand, read it one more time. If you still do not understand it, move on. You can come back to the question later if you have more time at the end of the test. Fifth, formation of an idea. Another strategy is to read the questions before starting the passage. This does not mean to read the answer choices at this time, but by reading the questions, you will have an idea of what information you need after reading the passage. This may alert you to certain details, ideas, and specific areas in the paragraph where the questions are drawn from. A right approach to answering the questions. First, questions are to be answered on the basis of the information provided in the passage, and you are not expected to rely on outside knowledge of a particular topic. Your own views or options may sometimes conflict with the views expressed or the information provided in the passage. Be sure that your work should be within the context of the passage given. You should not expect to agree with everything you encounter in reading passages. Second, you should analyze each passage carefully before answering the accompanying questions. As with any kind of close and thoughtful reading, look for clues that will help you understand the less explicit aspects of the passage. Try to separate main ideas from supporting ideas or evidence. Third, note transitions from one idea to the next and examine the relationships among the different ideas or parts of the passage. For example, are they contrasting? Are they complementary? Consider the points the author made, the conclusions drawn, and how and why those points are made or conclusions were drawn. Fourth, Read each question carefully and be certain that you understand exactly what is being asked. Fifth, always read all the answer choices before selecting the best answer. Sixth, the best answer is the one that most accurately and most completely answers the question being posed. Be careful not to pick an answer choice simply because it is a true statement. Be careful also not to be misled by answer choices that are only partially true or only partially satisfy the problem posed in the question. Seventh, the methodology of eliminating wrong answers also works here. It simply means that if you are unable to judge the right choice or right answer, tick the answer that are incorrect. In this way, if there remains one answer to be ticked, that will be the correct answer. But if there remains more than one answer to be ticked, then it is you whether you like to take a risk or not, as there may be negative marking as well. Read the following passage carefully and answer the questions given below it. Certain words or phrases may have been printed in bold to help you locate them while answering some of the questions. Here is the passage. Despite the economic crunch worldwide that saw pulverization of some of the largest banking and finance giants, Indian banking houses have managed to show positive growth this quarter. Some of India's leading national banks have posted a net profit rise of more than 40% over the last quarter amid global turmoil. This would come as a big shot in the arm for the investors and consumers of these banks, even though apprehension is mounting on other banking and broking firms worldwide. One of the main reasons behind the success of these banks this quarter would be either their direct backing by the government of India. One of the main reasons behind the success of these banks this quarter would be their direct backing by the government of India. People take solace in their investments in public sector watching the bailout packages being cashed out by governments all over the world to save big business houses. Other private banks in India have also reported a substantial net profit over the last quarter. Given the international and domestic scenario, one cannot put this down as a mundane achievement. While others are on a cost-cutting spree and firing employees, Indian companies are actually working on boosting staffing in banking and broking sectors. This can be seen as a big boon in the days to come when the current recession eases and the economy gradually comes back to the fast track. The Finance Minister has assured India public about the sound health of all Indian banks. This could also be evident from the fact that there have no longer been mergers and takeovers in Indian banking sector, in a contrast to world scenario where finance houses are looking for mergers to cut costs on operations. We definitely are not looking to thrive, rather we are looking for growth. It is just that the pace of growth is a little slow now as compared to a year or two before. These are hard times to test the hard. The weak in business and career will be weeded out, and it is sometimes very beneficial for businesses. Question 1. What, according to the author, is the reason for the success of Indian national banks in this quarter? The options are as given below. Please read the passage and consider all the options carefully. Here, the correct option is D. The public is ready to invest in these banks because of the knowledge that these banks get stronger support from the government. Here, the question asks about the reason for the success of the Indian national banks in this quarter. The other option give us a rather true facts but not that are present literally in the passage given to us. Therefore, the most appropriate of the options that we can infer from the passage is option D. Question 2. Which of the following statements is definitely true in context of the passage? A. India has not been affected by the economic slowdown. B. Indian banks are showing growth in this quarter despite the recession. C. While banking industries in the West has severely been affected by recession in the past, it is now gradually recovering and showing a positive growth. Of these, only the statement B is true, which means that only the second statement or statement B is true. This statement is, Indian banks are showing growth in this quarter despite the recession. We know that among the sentences given, this is the one that is entirely true and reflects the meaning as well as the idea of the passage given. Question 3. What, according to the author, will be a big boon in the days to come? The options are as given below. The correct answer here is option C. Increased hiring in Indian financial sector in times of economic slowdown. The other options here will not necessarily suggest a boon. They are rather negative things which have a good outcome, but the outcomes are not mentioned with these options. Therefore, option C would be the correct and most appropriate answer. Question 4. Which of the following strengthens the finance minister's statement about the sound health of Indian banks with respect to the passage? A. There have been no acquisitions and mergers of Indian banks. B. The Indian banks are recovering a positive growth. C. Layoffs have been observed worldwide. The correct answer is option 1, both A and B. Here, the statements A and B strengthen the finance minister's statement. These statements are, there have been no acquisitions and mergers of Indian banks, and the Indian banks are recovering a positive growth. These two statements strengthen the finance minister's statement about the sound health of Indian banks with respect to the passage. The third statement just reflects about how banks worldwide have been observing layoffs, but this is not necessarily a positive thought to the Indian banks. Question 5. How, according to the author, is the current recession beneficial? The options are as given below, and the correct answer is option E, none of the above. The passage mostly talks about how there have been no mergers or acquisitions and about how the Indian banks are flourishing despite the recession. But it doesn't necessarily say that the companies have realized that India is a stronger power or that India is surging ahead of other companies and such other as the statements given in these options. Therefore, the correct answer would be to say that none of the statements above are correct. Question 6. What does the phrase shot in the arm as used in the passage mean? The options are A. Shock, B. Fear, C. Encouragement, D. Anxiety, E. None of these. The phrase shot in the arm in this context means encouragement, as in a push for surging ahead in a consistent manner. Choose the word group or the group of words which is most similar in meaning to the word printed in bold letters as used in the passage. Pulverization. The options are A. Polarization, B. Mashing, C. Debasement, D. Falling, E. Crushing. The correct answer here is option E, crushing, which means the same as pulverization. Turmoil. The options are A. Danger, B. Shock, C. Sadness, D. Fear, E. Chaos. The correct answer here is option E, chaos, which is synonymous to turmoil. Choose the word or group of words which is the most opposite in meaning to the words printed in bold letters as used in the passage. Mundane. The options are A. Extraordinary, B. Regular, C. Severe, D. Visionary, and E. Rooting. The correct answer here is option A. Extraordinary. Mundane means something that is regularly done and nothing out of the ordinary. Therefore, option A would be the opposite of it. Thrive. The options are A. Succeed, B. Deteriorate, C. Worry, D. Tremble, E. Strive. The correct answer here is option B. Deteriorate. Thrive means to go on without a stop and to go on in a consistent manner. Here, deteriorate is the opposite of this word and therefore is the correct answer.